Before we talk about where we are, we must first remember from whence we came. Marty Schottenheimer brought winning football back to Kansas City and built what is now known as Chiefs Kingdom.
We transitioned from a team built on its defense in the 90s to one of the most dominant offenses and return men in NFL history, led by Dick Vermeil.
In 2012, a 2-14 Chiefs team displayed disastrous play on the field and turmoil off it. We asked to save our Chiefs, and in came Andy Reid, who immediately turned this franchise into a perennial playoff team.
Then, on April 27, 2017, the Chiefs broke free from their journeyman quarterback restraints and drafted Patrick LeVon Mahomes.
In 6 years with Patrick at the helm, we're back-to-back champs and a dynasty headed towards a three-peat. We are unrelenting for this city, these players, and this team. This is the show for the allies. Arrowhead Allies.
AFC West champs.
Yeah, 9th straight AFC West championships here in Kansas City. And your money stays and plays with us here on Arrowhead Allies. You are locked and loaded once again. It's Tuesday night. We're feeling good. 9 straight division championships. And who better to talk about that with than our guest here? Chiefs Hall of Famer Tim Grunhard is on the show. Tim, get in here. How the hell are you? You are looking mighty fit, my friend. What are you down to there? About 190, buddy?
I'm trying to chisel down a little bit. Can you guys hear me okay? Because I've had some issues with this damn computer today. So
it's all good.
Good.
I hear you.
I won't let the allies down, man. Gotta let the allies down.
You are an ally, Tim.
It's good to be on with you guys, and congratulations to the Kansas City Chiefs on another AFC West championship, another title. And listen, if they hold serve, man, looks like all the playoff games will be right here in Arrowhead. So congratulations to the Chiefs. Now, we got some things to talk about because there's some flaws right now with this team, but congratulations to the Chiefs.
Amen to that.
Well, Tim, getting right into it, you're a Chiefs Hall of Famer, man, in the middle there and center, and we got to talk about this offensive line. We saw DJ Humphries out there. We're not sure where his injury is. Was it just cramps? Is it a hamstring? How serious if it is? And so what did you see from that left tackle position with Wanye coming in? We've seen him throughout the season. We saw what DJ Humphries had. It's his first game back after being out all season, rehabbing an ACL. And then also on the right side, Jawan Taylor, that's been such a mess on the left side. We haven't talked about how Jawan's struggling a little on the right side as well.
Let's start out with where we're at the left tackle position. You know, we started out with Kingsley Suamataia, which is a lot of fun to say, but it certainly wasn't fun to watch to start.
Right.
And then Wande Morris, who we're not quite sure if he was injured in training camp and couldn't earn that job or, just didn't win it. But he came in and did a pretty decent job, but ran into a couple hiccups when he went against some of these AFC West foes. And then, listen, when this is number, we're still going here. So then Joe Tooney pops in there, right?
Yeah.
So that's number 3. And then Humphries is number 4. So let's talk about number 4, because number 3, let's keep him where he's at left guard. Number 2 might have to play. And number 1, the arrow is still pointing up on Kingsley. I haven't given up on him, but I think it's going to take another maybe off season to get him right. So let's talk about Humphries. He did a good job for what he was asked to do. I mean, listen, the guy's coming off an ACL, hadn't played any football all season. All of a sudden, he's thrown into the action, no training camp, really no physical practices because they don't practice physical anymore. You look at my body, all the scars I have, you'll see 90% of them from practice, right?
Thanks,
we used to practice hard. Marty used to practice hard. These guys don't practice anymore. So he didn't really have a chance to get those live bullets going. And what'd you expect? I mean, probably pulled his hamstring, but, that would happen to anybody. It was just the Chiefs are in a tough position at left tackle right now, and they tried to put a Band-Aid on him with Humphreys, and hopefully he's okay. I thought he did okay. He had some good, some bad. He looked like a guy who hadn't played in a year and a half. But they're going to have to figure that out because Patrick Mahomes is getting knocked down 35 sacks this year, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Way too much. I think it's like 400 and some dropbacks and 35 sacks. I was looking at my years. I was just peeking just to kind of give it a little reference. The highest sack total we had was in 1992 with 48. And the lowest we had was in 1994, which was 19.
Wow.
In 94, we had 615 dropbacks and 19 sacks. But that was because Joe Montana was back there, and nobody wanted to be the guy that got Joe Montana hurt. So we did whatever we possibly could to keep him upright. So, hey, listen, they're going to have to figure this out because that is a major flaw this team has, and it scares me a little bit.
100%.
Grunny, first of all, let me say, man, I want to echo the sentiments of your the way you look right now, man. You've lost so much weight. If you might want to be careful though, because if you lose any more, the Chiefs might actually hit you up and ask if you can play cornerback. So you might want to just take a chill on that, man. Just to let you know.
Hey,
but
I'm glad you didn't say kicker. All
I
right?
might ask you for that too, man. I'm just saying.
No.
Yeah, but regardless of that, Grunny, I do want to piggyback on this initial question because obviously we know offensive line, man, first and foremost. And, something that I heard you say on Soren Petro's show a few times over the last a few months back when training camp was going around, and you were saying that they needed to ease Suamataia into the situation, and I was a guy that very much believed they needed to give him live bullets, and I feel like the Chiefs did something a little bit.
So hold on, you were the guy.
I was the guy. Yes, I was definitely that one. And honestly, Tim, I'm not going to lie to you, man. I still, in a way, stand by that, and the reason why is because I feel that the Chiefs have handled this situation differently than both of us wanted to, if that makes sense, because it felt like they were like, all right, Suamataia is the guy. We drafted him in the second round. We love him out of BYU. I mean, you saw them just singing praises about this guy, the athleticism, off the charts, everything. It felt like they just day one wanted him to be the guy, and we saw them do this with Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, day one starters out of rookie, camps, everything like that. So the vibes were good. And then his first games are against some of the best pass rushers in the NFL. Trey Hendrickson is just destroying him on an island in week 2. And then it feels like ever since then, we've just never really seen him come back. He's played in spot fills when Wanya's getting injured. And we all knew that Wanya was never a long-term answer at left tackle. So it was very confusing how the Chiefs handled this. And I think it goes even further back than that. When they signed Juwan Taylor to that humongous deal, and we were hearing reports that, oh yeah, he's going to be the left tackle for the Chiefs because they didn't get Orlando Brown Jr.'s deal done. So he's going to be that guy. Oh, no, wait, he's going to go to right tackle because that's where he naturally fits. It's been really, really confusing to me, Tim, how they've handled this situation for the last couple of years. And I feel that they've looked at the left tackle position as just a spot fill. And if you and I don't know anything about offensive line, you have to have assurances at left tackle. So where do you see the team going? I know you said you haven't given up on Kingsley. I haven't either, obviously, but I think there's a real chance that if Trey Smith isn't here because he might get the Super Bowl tax in his next contract, or if Joe Tooney retires at the Chiefs three-peat, there's a chance that Kingsley might end up moving to guard. So what do you think is going to ultimately happen at left tackle? Do the Chiefs go back to the left tackle in the draft? Do they go and try to sign somebody or trade for somebody? What are you seeing in the near future at that position?
Man, that's the $1 million question. I will give you my best guess. They're going to probably have to address it in the draft again, and they're going to have to spend a high draft pick on him, move up, and find a guy that can get in there and play right away. I trust Brett Veach, and I trust the way he evaluates guys. Kingsley Suamataia, you're right. The problem is I don't think they just gave up on him because they didn't think he could do it. I think they're worried that he lost confidence. And when I've heard from different guys in there that his head was spinning, he was Beetlejuicing a little bit. You remember the old Beetlejuice guy's head spinning around? He was Beetlejuicing a little bit, lost a little bit of confidence. If you watch him early in the first game of the year, he was undersetting everything, right? And guys were beating him around the corner pretty regularly. And I forget who. It's so long ago. I forget who they were playing. But the first game, he struggled with getting beat around the corner. All right. So Andy Heck, which I know very, very well, I know the way Andy treats his guys and how he handles these kind of situations. He used kid gloves, but he said, listen, we can't, you got to get out there and you got to make sure that you don't let those guys get around the corner and beat you around the corner. So what did he do? He overset, right? And that's what happened against Trey Hendrickson. He kept oversetting Trey Hendrickson, working him outside and getting back inside, and it got really ugly. And then he had no idea what to do. So he was kind of stuck in this place where, listen, I was oversetting, I was undersetting, and the one thing about Kingsley that I liked is when he got his hands on you, he was really good. The problem is he just wasn't in the right position. 90% of pass blocking guys, well, first of all, pass blocking is a lot in your head, but 90% of pass blocking is with your feet. People don't understand you pass block with your feet. His feet are out of position. He's too tight together. He was leaning. He couldn't get a good punch, and he lost confidence. And they said, hey, we're going to sit you down. We're going to let you kind of work your way back into it. And for one reason or another, they're not holding him out because they don't like him. They're not holding him out because they don't think that he can do it. They're holding him out because he hadn't gone out there yet, again, and proven that he can go out there and play. It's as simple as that. Something's going on because they want to play Kingsley Suamataia. They want to play him. But he hasn't given them a reason to put him back on the field again. It's like that batter going up to the plate. He can't hit that fastball. All of a sudden, you're looking for fastballs all the time, and they start throwing those curveballs and those breaking balls at you, and now you can't hit nothing. So that's kind of where Kingsley is right now. So I'm with you. I haven't given up. I think this guy's going to be a good football player. I like your idea of being a guard. That wouldn't be horrible. Right tackle wouldn't be horrible either. But to put a rookie in that position and left tackle with no confidence, can't do it.
Yeah.
Well, Tim, I don't know if it's just me, but there just seems to be a little bit of malaise that has come over the Chiefs kingdom in general. When you think about a team that's 12-1, coming off back-to-back Super Bowls that just won another AFC West championship, there just seems to be a little bit of, when you talk to people, that everyone kind of says the same things when you're talking about the Chiefs, right? Oh, they're not playing very well. They just keep winning something crazy every week. It's a doink. It's a blocked field goal. It's this or that. This is just, I guess we could refer to this as our first world problems here in Kansas City, a 12-1 team that's probably going to be the 1 seed, but yet we look around and nobody really seems to think nationally or locally that this team's playing all that great. What a weird place to be in, Tim.
Yeah, so it has been a strange deal. Listen, they've won, 15 games now in single digits, something like that, in all kinds of different ways, from guys having a toe out to bad snaps to doinks. I mean, you name it. They've found ways to win. That's the key. They found ways to win. So people always say it's lucky. Well, you make your own luck. What the Chiefs have done a really good job this year in a couple different areas. Number one, their third down conversions have been unbelievable. I mean, look at the last drive of the game. Right before, I think it was like with 4 minutes left, incomplete pass, pass to Worthy for 14 yards, move the sticks. That doesn't happen, they punt. And then what happens, right? So if you look at the Chiefs, I got the stats right here. The Chiefs are 12th in the NFL in first down yardage average per play. They're 12th in first down. In second down, they're 17th in yards per play on second down. And in third down, they're first. They're first. And in fourth down, they're third. So it's just kind of the way that this team works. And the one thing that I really think that teams overlook and that the NFL overlooks and Andy Reid doesn't is situational football. Andy does such a wonderful job from the very first practice of training camp working on what? Situational footballs. Hey, third down. Let's work on it. 2-minute situation before half, the end of the game. Let's work on it. Red zone. Let's work on it. Now, not everything's going to be perfect, but they work on it. They have confidence in those situations. So I think Andy does a really good job of having these guys prepared for football games. And once again, when you start winning these games and winning the way the Chiefs do, The dirty little secret is this. The team on the other side, they think they're going to lose. Because if it's that close and Patrick Mahomes gets the ball back, the reason why Buffalo won is what? They got up by 2 scores.
Yeah.
Because they had to. That's the formula to beat the Chiefs. You got to get up by obviously more than 8 points at the end of a game. But what do? They went for it on 4th down a bunch of times. Said, screw it, we're not giving the ball back to Patrick Mahomes. And the big play of the game was a 4th down run from their quarterback, Allen, and that was the big play that kind of killed the Chiefs. So you look at the one loss they had, and Baltimore does a little bit of that too. Baltimore said, screw it. We're going for it on 4th down as much as we possibly can. So when Harbaugh decided to punt and give the ball back to the Chiefs, I was like, game over. Chiefs won. And guess what? They knew it too.
Yep.
Tim, love having you on the show. Big fan. I never missed any of your games at Arrowhead. From row 4, section 110, you are the man. And I called you. I called you the million times down on your show on Thursday nights with Bob Gretz. Good times. You're a stand-up guy, and I appreciate your loyalty to Kansas City even to this day. What I want to talk to you about is the last thing I think we want to address is the offensive line, is the evaluation of the situation at left tackle. I was 14 years old when John Alt was drafted in the 1st round. He didn't play his rookie season. Matt Herkenhoff was the left tackle. Then when you go ahead up to 1995, Marty Schottenheimer knew, hey, John Alt's getting up here in age. We better address it. In the first day of free agency, March 9th, 1995, the Chiefs picked up Jeff Criswell. Just, because they don't know if the extent of how long John Alt's going to be playing. Then a month later, the Chiefs drafted Trezell Jenkins in the 1st round. At that time, Trezell Jenkins was drafted. John Alt's situation was something we had to look into. And John Alt only played 2 more seasons in 95 and 96. Then when it was found out that Trezell Jenkins wasn't going to be a very good player, they stuck with Jeff Criswell. But they knew in 1997, hey, if Jeff Criswell gets hurt, we better go with a proven veteran and 12-year left tackle and Steve Wallace. So there was that insurance there at left tackle. Fast forward to 2013, Andy Reid's first year as a head coach. He takes Eric Fisher, number 1 overall, as his future left tackle. Eric Fisher did not play left tackle his rookie season. He was a backup right tackle to Donald Stevenson because Brandon Albert was the left tackle in his last year of his contract. But when Brandon Albert would get hurt and miss 4 games, they would move Donald Stevenson from right tackle to left tackle and have Eric Fisher play exclusively at right tackle. Now, fast forward to this year. They, in my opinion, I want you to tell me if I'm right, wrong, or indifferent. When they drafted Kingsley, they should have brought back Donovan Smith just to have that insurance depth in case Kingsley falls short, or have Donovan Smith play left tackle until Kingsley gets his feet under him, just like John Alt did, just like John Tate did, and all the other number 1 draft picks we drafted or free agents. Don't you think they should have brought in a veteran to at least help Kingsley along the way with some training wheels?
Yeah, I don't disagree with you at all. I think that if you kept Donovan Smith around and he could learn and mentor Kingsley Suamataia, that'd be great. That would have been a nice little plan. But, you talk about John Alt, and I've talked to John about this many times. He said, he just wasn't quite ready to play. Even though he was a 1st-round draft choice, he says, I wasn't quite ready to play when I was just John Alt was a tight end basically in college. So, and his son, Joe, was a tight end in high school. By the way, he was the last guy. People don't know this. He was the last guy to get offered a scholarship to Notre Dame. He was a throw-in at Notre Dame. And when he got there, he was, in the summer, my son he just left, but he was talking to some of the guys and like, we don't know. This guy's who's a skinny, tall guy they brought in. I mean, he's not going to be worth a crap. All of a sudden, somebody gets hurt, he finds a way to get in there, and he's an All-American. But even watching Joe this week, and Joe's a hell of a player. Joe struggled a little bit in certain situations too now. He had a couple of holding calls trying to cut guys off. He couldn't get up on the linebacker a couple of times and run plays. But he's in there competing and playing, but he's holding his own at right tackle. Everybody talks about, the right tackle is important, left tackle. But the left tackle is a different beast, man. It is a different beast out there. To this day, I know that people say, well, they're moving guys around, pass rushers, this, and that. Blind side of the quarterback is still very, very important. So, yeah, I'm with you. They probably should have brought somebody in to kind of just wean Kingsley Suamataia onto the field and give him some opportunities to kind of get his feet underneath him. But once again, and I was roasted big time when I said this. I said, he's not ready. And people are like, oh, no, put him in there. They drafted him. He's ready. He's a great athlete, got great size, great length, wasn't ready. That doesn't make he's a bad player. Just mean he wasn't ready.
Right, just like Eric Fisher wasn't ready his first year.
No.
Neither was John Hall. And they still turned out they still turned out to be great players. That's why I worry about Kingsley's confidence next year going into next season. How is this quick benching going to affect his confidence? That's my concern with how the Chiefs have done it throughout the years.
Yeah, and listen, guys, listen, I love being on these podcasts. I love doing radio, but social media, all that kind of stuff. It's a hard world out there as an NFL player now because you read how crappy you are all the time. You turn your phone on and you go on Twitter or X, whatever they call it, and somebody's ripping you how bad you are. Thank God they didn't have that when I was playing. I don't even like it now, and I'm not even playing. So, his confidence is really important. That's why I think, personally, he hadn't been back in. And they're saying, hey, listen, this is a gap year. Give him a year off, redshirt him, let him get his confidence back in the offseason, get faster, a little bit stronger, a little bit bigger, get an idea of what he's doing out there, understand the offense, and let's put him back in there and let him get his confidence back. You put him back in there now, and all of a sudden he's going against the Denver Broncos, and they're kicking the crap out of him, and you lose a football game, and all of a sudden all you read about is how crappy Kingsley Suamataia is. What are they thinking? That's not a good confidence builder. So I agree with you. I think the Chiefs screwed this one up. I mean, let's just call it the way it is. I think they thought Wande Morris was going to be okay, and he is okay. But, I think he's hurt. And I think he played hurt. So you got a guy who's playing hurt and a rookie out at left tackle. It's not a good combination.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And Tim, you mentioned the Bills game that the Chiefs played earlier this season when Josh Allen had that 4th and 2. And last year, the Chiefs had this great defense while the offense was trying to figure things out with the receiver position. And this year, they're still trying to figure some things out on offense, but that defense has taken a little bit of a dip here as we've gotten later on in the season. That 4th and 2 against the Bills with Josh Allen, Chris Jones was singled up on Torrance, the right guard, and he lost that battle, allowing the gaping hole for Josh Allen to run through. And we've also seen some miscommunication in the secondary, whether it's Najee Johnson, Jamari Connor, Brian Cook. I've actually been a little bit impressed with Josh Williams. He hasn't at least been getting picked on out there since he's come in for Najee, but then he went out of the game. So what do you make in this defensive slide? Not the consistent pressure on the quarterback. Chris Jones losing a one-on-one battle on that 4th and 2 against the Bills, which is a rare sight to see, and then the miscommunication in the secondary.
Before we get to that, can somebody tell me? I just bought some milk, and there was a picture of Uche on the carton.
There's still an unsolved mysteries.
That was on my milk carton too. We must have got the same place.
Yeah, we got it. We both went to Quick Trip or something.
Yeah, exactly.
We've got a search committee going after this after we're off here. So if you want to join, you can join us. We got our flashlights. We're going to go search, Jim.
Yeah, let's go find this guy because he's certainly missing. So he was a healthy scratch last week. Week before that against the Raiders played 1 snap. So I don't know. You tell me. So I do think that having a Menahue back has helped.
Yeah.
I thought for sure that Spags was going to get to a little bit of kind of a NASCAR package stuff. He started out with his big-time blitz stuff. He put those corners in a tough position. And then you get to the Buffalo game, and guess what? Josh Allen, he was calling out the blitzes. I mean, they had him figured out, okay? I don't know if you guys heard there was one when he said he's like jet, scat, to 32, and he changed the protection. All of a sudden, 32 comes. They picked it up. Bam, they hit one over the middle. So he had a good idea of what was going on. So, offensive coordinators and quarterbacks and offensive line coaches, they're going to figure out this blitz stuff. So I think they figured that out. I thought the Chiefs would kind of naturally progress into maybe showing a little bit more, which they've done, and dropping. But I thought they'd go to that NASCAR package with some athletic guys. I thought Uche would be one of them. I thought Omeni would be one of them. I thought Jones would be one of them. I thought that Dana would be one of them. Carl Loftus. I thought they'd move those guys around and do some of the stuff he did with the Giants. And he made that kind of famous with his NASCAR package. Hadn't quite come yet. Doesn't mean it's not going to, but hasn't quite come yet. But, Chris Jones, he's been okay. I mean, he's got 5 sacks. I think Carl Loftus has 5 sacks. I mean, Chris Jones getting double teamed all the time. So those guys outside have got to win. I think Carl Loftus is taking a step back this year. I think he plays hard, but I think guys have got him figured out a little bit. He needs to get us maybe a different repertoire on his second move stuff. He's more of a dip and rip guy, and he's got to get to something else. Maybe the Neil Smith punch, how to punch across and get it inside. Something he's got to add to his repertoire. Guys will figure that out. Everybody's got a good first move. It's the guys who get to a second move are the guys that win. And when you figure out the guy's second moves, you take that away, it's tough. I'm not down on Karloftis either. I'm not. Listen, these guys, they've got 12 wins. So, I mean, this is a first world problem we have here, guys. Right?
For sure.
But, but we got to talk about something. So the 4 guys up front, I think they're getting better. But they got to start winning some of these individual battles. And Chris Jones getting double teamed. He's got to keep this pushing in the middle of the pocket. It's tough for him. He's a game wrecker. If you don't double team, he's going to wreck the game defensively. But, listen, the Chiefs right now, I think I read a stat that one of their corners at least is in press coverage 88% of the time. 88%. I think the record is 90. I think that might have been Spags a couple of years ago. So when you're up in press coverage and you're a press man, that's tough. So what you're trying to do is saying, listen, we got to bring extra guys to get pressure on the quarterback. And you're putting those corners in a tough position. Everybody's on these corners. I wouldn't want to be a corner in the Kansas City Chiefs defense, would you? I mean, seriously, they're playing man all the time. And the only time they get to the quarterbacks when they blitz. So you're getting these guys in really tough situations against really good athletes and great quarterbacks. Quarterbacks in this league are really good. Yep. So, it's a tough world they're living in. I thought they've competed. I think the defense has competed. Defense has really kept us in a lot of games. I mean, it's not going to be perfect. You're going to run into a buzzsaw where all of a sudden you just can't figure anything out. The team's got your number, and you just got to work through it. Hope your offense scores more points. But this defense, I think, has played pretty hard. But the reality of the situation is they got to find a way to win some of the individual battles with the front 4 and get to the quarterback without bringing as much pressure.
Absolutely.
Well, Tim, go ahead. No, well, I was gonna ask real quick about the upcoming schedule because I'm very interested to hear about Tim from Tim's point of view because you talk about first world problems. Well, I think the Chiefs have a real challenge on their hands coming up for these next 3 weeks. They go to the Browns, they have the Texans at home, their final home game, and then the Steelers on Christmas Day within a 10-day stretch. I mean, Tim, you played this game, man. I don't know if that ever was something you dealt with when you played 3 games in 10 days. I can imagine how grueling that is, especially at the end of the season when the Chiefs have their bye week in week 6. You've heard Chris Jones express that he's pretty upset about this. I think this is something the Chiefs are dealing with that is a little unfair, especially with the amount of football they've played over the last 6+ years. And let's say the Chiefs win these next 2 games. Tim, how do you expect the Chiefs to handle this? Do you think they rest the starters and piss off Netflix and then, try to ease their way into the postseason? How do you think they do it, man?
Man. So are you saying that they locked up the number 1 seed?
Yeah, let's say they win the next 2 games, that would pretty much essentially lock up the 1 seed. Because the Lions will probably beat the Bills this next week.
Yeah, I think you play your starters maybe a half in the 16th game and don't play them at all in the 17th.
Okay.
But listen, guys, I got to say one thing about this week. Just one thing. One word. Actually, it's 2 words. Myles Garrett.
Oh, God.
Man.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. That's got a cold
Simple
sweat.
as that. Myles Garrett is a dog, buddy. He is a hard-working, get after the quarterback fool.
Yeah.
And the Chiefs, they've got to find a way. I don't care if you turn the protection and keep a tight end in, whatever you got to do to limit him because he's a game wrecker.
Yeah.
He's like Chris Jones, but he doesn't get double teamed as much because he's outside. The reason why you don't get double teamed as much when you're outside is offensive coordinators are inherently selfish. Okay, they want more guys out in the running routes and get the ball to. You keep a tight end in, or you chip with the back and then maybe you float them out. You know, when I was with Charlie Weiss, I was begging for double teams on guys. I knew our offensive tech couldn't block those guys from Texas or from TCU. I'm like, hey, let's think about, you know, maybe keeping a tight end in here or chipping. He goes, I'm not doing that. We're getting guys out there to throw the ball to. I said, well, then your quarterback's going to get smashed. So
Yes.
the reality is offensive coordinators are inherently selfish. So
Yep.
they're probably, you know, this is a huge game for and they're going to take Myles Garrett and they're going to line him up and whoever's playing left tackle. And, you know, it'll be interesting to see how they deal with it. But that's my worry this week. I'm not worried about anybody else. Not worried about Chubbs. Not worried about whoever quarterback is now, Winston Salem or whoever the hell he is. I'm worried about Myles Garrett because that guy is a tough SOB, and he can ruin your game. He could also hurt your quarterback.
Yeah, they slid the line down in this past game. They had one where they slid it left and had Baylor Cupp singled up on Joey Bosa. Hopefully they don't have that same game plan for Myles Garrett.
Hey, you know, I meant to bring this up to you guys. Thanks for bringing that up. So I tweeted this out during the game, and they might do this. It'd be interesting to see if they do. What they did is we call it Irish protection, and I don't know what the Chiefs call it, but what it basically means is you take your tackle and you squeeze them down on that 3 technique. Now the tackle and the guard are responsible for the 3 technique and the strong side backer, and you pop your center. And they did that a couple of times in the game, and I thought that was great because first of all, the defensive end is like he thinks, well, what's going on here? That's usually in a block down. He's got to don't go till you know, right? Because what happens when the tackle blocks down, you know, a lot of times, you know, if you're flying down the line of scrimmage, then you can give up something outside. So you don't go to your nose. So it slows them down a little bit. And now you got Creed Humphrey, who I think is an excellent pass protector out there. And all you got to do is basically stay inside out and run the guy outside. So they may do a little bit of that. It's called an Irish protection. It's a squeeze from the tackle and the guard to the strong side guy. The front side does their deal. But now you're squeezing down and you're double teaming to where the center would go. The center basically is double teaming with the 3 or the 1 to the strong side backer. Now it's a tackle on the guard and you're popping the center. So that might be something they could change up to block Myles Garrett. So let's see if they do that.
Tim, thank you so much for the time, my friend. We're going to be watching your Irish, speaking of Irish protection, coming up against the Indiana Hoosiers because everybody had that playoff matchup predicted before the season. Indiana, Notre Dame coming up. We're cheering for you, Tim, and your Irish, buddy.
Yeah, so I'm hoping they wear the green uniforms, and then they tell Indiana to wear the red uniforms. Perfect Christmas matchup.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Yes.
I'm in for it. I was kind of hoping Miami would make it so we could have Catholics versus convicts too. It's all good. All good, though.
Clint, you had to bring that up, didn't you? You had to bring that up.
I was going to
I was never a big fan of that mantra. I was never a big fan of it. But that was a hell of a football game.
Hey.
I tell you what, I love being out with you guys. You guys are great. I do follow you guys. You guys do a wonderful job, and keep up the good work, man. Keep the Chiefs Kingdom going. And you guys are a vital part of why this is such a great fan base because, number one, they're educated. Most of our fans are pretty good at understanding what's going on, and they enjoy the game more because of that. Number two, you guys are fun, and you bring a lot of knowledge out there. So appreciate what you guys do.
You're the best, Tim. Thank
you.
you.
Love you, man.
Always an honor. Go Golden Domers.
That's Tim Grunhard. This is Arrowhead Allies, and you might be asking yourself out there, where would I find coverage like this anywhere else amongst Chiefs Kingdom anywhere? Well, you're finding it right here because we have your back each and every week here on Arrowhead Allies. You never know who's going to pop in here, and we like to keep it interesting, and that certainly did. That keeps me engaged because, like I mentioned to Tim, guys, there's a general malaise that's kind of washed over all of us when you sit here and you watch Groundhog's Day every Sunday, and that's what it is. You know, I talked to people that were at the game on Sunday night that said, you know, when that field goal went in, half the crowd didn't know what had happened. Was it good? Was it not good? And the other half was just like, yay, relief, we won. Okay, let's go home. There is a issue there that I think will only be rectified by this team getting the 1 seed, a playoff run, when you got the 3-peat on the line, when you got really big things and big opponents that are going to be coming in here when it matters the most. I think that the fan base will be re-engaged by then. But for a lot of Chiefs fans, I think it's just like, let's just get to January, I guess, at this point, guys.
Guys, we literally talked about this last week. I said we have to make peace with this. Like, we have to stop trying to figure out this team or explain this team.
Right.
This is who they are. It is the same damn game every damn week. It is not
That's
fun.
the show. Thanks. Good night, everybody.
We do not have fun. Like Tim said, first world problems. We got to talk about something. This is our first world problems. We're literally talking about a 12-1 team, and we're talking about how we're not enjoying watching them play. That is, I will live with that, and I think we all four would live with that for sure.
I've been here before.
Three-way, no way here. I'm a big Mahomes fan, fellas, but I think Allen is a tad better. Josh Allen is the greatest talent we've ever seen, folks, and I love Patrick. So is this a Chiefs fan saying this?
Is this someone that watched football prior to the last 4 weeks or so?
There's nothing wrong with saying that Josh Allen is a more talented quarterback, but Lamar Jackson's more talented than Tom Brady. Which quarterback are you taking to start your franchise? This is the point we got to talk about, guys. There might be guys that have a little bit more talent. I would agree with that. I think Josh Allen is a physical specimen, probably has a little bit more to his physical attributes than Patrick Mahomes. He can run the ball a little bit better. He's bigger. He has there might be a little bit more to his physique. But when it comes to playoff football, when it comes to what matters most, no one with any brain cells that can rub against each other within a skull would pick Josh Allen. That's not even a diss on Josh Allen, because Josh Allen's actually a good quarterback in the playoffs. He's actually had some really good performances, even against the Chiefs, and we know that all too well.
Yeah.
But who's the man that clinches shit? I'm sorry, I had to say it. But who's the man that closes the deal? Who's the man that's won 3 Super Bowls in 5 years? Who's the man that has literally dominated the AFC since he took over at the quarterback position? Guys, we're not talking, and everybody says, well, Josh Allen didn't take over the same thing that Patrick Mahomes did. Really? That's interesting you say that, because I remember looking from an historic side of things, the Bills went to 4 straight Super Bowls in the 90s. The Chiefs couldn't get to a Super Bowl. And Andy Reid, as great of a head coach as he is, and he is, in my opinion, the greatest head coach that's ever lived when it all is said and done, but Andy Reid didn't have 1 Super Bowl ring until he had Patrick Mahomes. Now he has 3, and he's about to have 4, and 3 of them are going to be in consecutive order. Guys, we don't need to do this. I'm not trying to diss Josh Allen. I'm not trying to diss anybody that believes Josh Allen is the best quarterback in the league. All I'm saying is you're wrong. There is no quarterback in this league that you would take to start your franchise over Patrick Mahomes, because you saw the immediate impact he's had on this team and what he continues to do. It is not even comparable. Sure, Josh Allen has had more touchdowns than him of a certain stretch. Guys, a lot of quarterbacks like Justin Herbert had more yards than some of the greatest quarterbacks of all time to start his career. Are you taking Justin Herbert over Dan Marino? Are you taking Justin Herbert over Tom Brady? Are you taking? That's not what we're doing here, guys. Let's stop fooling ourselves and being caught, being prisoners of the moment. Josh Allen is awesome. Patrick Mahomes is the greatest thing we've ever seen. Let's leave it there and have peace with that when the Chiefs are holding their 3rd consecutive Lombardi trophy in February.
They got to hold it. They got to hold it. They got to get there first.
You're not so sure about that, Shane. I don't think you're a believer in this Chiefs team.
I believe in Patrick Mahomes, but you also have to look at what's going on. The Chiefs just played their entire division. Chargers, Raiders, Broncos at home in the last month.
And beat all of them.
It beat all of them on a blocked field goal, a chip shot field goal. Major props to Chanel. The bad snap to Aiden O'Connell, and a doink
for the
division in games that we really could have lost. There's what I see in Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs offense. Patrick Mahomes is the best, just like I said he would be before we drafted him, and then we drafted him, and here we are. But there's when defenses are figuring out how to stop or how to slow him down. And it's not just because the holes at left tackle. Patrick Mahomes will roll a play action pass, and he'll have 5, 6, 5.5 seconds at least in a full pocket. I mean, there won't be a defender within 10 yards, and he'll look, and he'll look, and he'll look. Oh, shit. It's starting to break down a little. I better run up into the pocket and then throw it. You mean to tell me there's nobody running a crossing pattern on that 2nd and 5 that he rolled all the way out into his pocket and just stood there? And just stood there. And just stood there. And there was nobody around. That keeps happening too much, which shows me opposing defensive coordinators are figuring out, hey, he's not throwing the ball when he gets a perfect time, when he gets all day in the pocket to throw it, because this look on defense is we got the safeties back. We're playing man. There's nobody running across the middle. That is the problem. When Mahomes keeps getting a clean pocket, which hardly isn't at all, but when he keeps getting a clean pocket and struggling with that clean pocket, it is a concern. And it happened against the Raiders, it happened against the Broncos, and it happened against the Chargers.
Real quick, Shaggy.
There's something wrong there.
You're 100% right. You're 100% right. How many times have you seen Patrick Mahomes do those things in the postseason?
He did against the Bengals in the AFC Championship game.
Right. So one time, so in 18 postseason games, you've seen him do it once.
We got to get to the postseason. We got to get a number one seed.
Well, they have the postseason down, and they're going to get the one seed when they win these next two games. But the point I'm trying to make is these worries are all valid right now. We had the same conversation last week, and I know that all the viewers and all the audience are talking about this right now too, because it is a legitimate worry. We can sit here and have that conversation about right now. But I think we all would agree, right, that the Chiefs are not playing their best football, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that they're not trying to. And we see the Lions, we see the Bills, we see the Ravens, we see all these teams trying so hard. What are they trying so hard to do? Do what the Chiefs have already been doing for the last 5-6 years. So the Chiefs have the chart. Why do you think the Chiefs always have the Super Bowl from every team they face? Because they are the Mecca. They are the target. They are the goal. Everybody wants to be them. So they're going to keep getting everyone's best game, where the Chiefs are trying to just sustain what they have so they can just get to the postseason. This is not a cop-out. I told you that. I hate it. It's not fun for me to watch. I told you guys, last season was the toughest season by far in the Mahomes era that I've watched. It was not a fun season. This season's not been fun. But you know what always is gratifying? Is when a season that's not fun ends in a Super Bowl victory. And I'm as confident now as I ever was last season, if not way more, than this team repeating as Super Bowl champions, three-peating as Super Bowl champions, because they have everything they need in order to get it done. Is it a perfect roster? No. But there is not a single perfect roster out there. That is why you're seeing Josh Allen work so hard to get where these guys are going. I've seen the comments about how Josh Allen can do all these things, stop Atlanta from being crazy, and all these things. Let me ask you guys a real quick question. How many number one defenses has Josh Allen had and Patrick Mahomes has had in their careers? Josh Allen has had 3. Patrick Mahomes has had 0. Yeah, one guy has 3 Super Bowl victories and the other one has none. One guy hasn't even gotten there. And it's because of the other guy that's knocked him out 3 times in 5 years. So I don't want to sit here and talk about the arm capabilities and all these things. Brett Favre had all the arm capability. He was fun as hell to watch. Man won 1 Super Bowl. Why is that? Because he had inefficiencies, and there was always another quarterback better than him that took him out. It's the same damn story now. It's just a different generation. I am somebody that obsesses over this team, and I hate the way they play football every single week. But it continues to work and push them in the direction of where they're wanting to go. And that is being as healthy as possible and as ready as possible to win the tough games in the postseason, because we know that's when everybody locks in and everybody's going to give it their best, and that includes the Chiefs. And there is not a team out there that you would pick, because if you're going to say right now that you don't think the Chiefs can get it done, then you have to name the team that's going to do it. You can't be like Rex Ryan with his pearly urinals in his mouth and sit there and go, oh, well, the Chiefs can't get it done. Name the team. Name the team right now in the AFC that's going to take the Chiefs out. Please. And I will put money on it right now if that team doesn't do it. Because some of these teams you're going to name probably won't even get to the AFC Championship to have the opportunity to do it. So I am waiting for the names. I'm waiting for the teams for people to tell me who's going to take the Chiefs out. Because the only team that's taking the Chiefs out is the Chiefs. And I stand by that.
Lance, a home run, major, you hit it out of the park there. My point is right now, because our last 3 home games are against our division. It took 1 touchdown and 3 field goals to beat the Denver Broncos offensively. We blocked the field goal to win it. And then 1 touchdown and 4 field goals to beat the Raiders and Chargers in back-to-back weeks where we won 19-17. We can't keep playing this close to the vest in January. We can't. It's gonna bite us in the ass. So these holes have to be addressed.
And Clint, we kind of talked about how this offense might be worse than it was last year, but last year it was more self-destructive.
Yes. Well, the numbers bear that out. The last year's offense, I believe, ranked 15th in the NFL this year. Right now, currently the Chiefs are 6th overall in total yards per game. So you're right. We did talk about that. Is it worse than last year? Well, the offensive line play, yep, it's worse. And with the shuffling of the receivers that have had to be done, and I can't say that I'm disappointed. The word is not disappointed with how DeAndre Hopkins has contributed to this team, because he had another touchdown on Sunday night, the only touchdown that was scored in the game. He did have one that was going to be a spectacular play that just got broken up at the last second there. A really good defensive play and just couldn't quite hold it. But other than that, what your contributions are really not there from your Watsons, from your Jujus, who's been healthy now for a few weeks. So yeah, but we talk about the pieces that are coming. Mitch Holtis touched on this week in an interview he did. We're all looking forward to it, and I think Nate Taylor just reported that we could be looking at Hollywood Brown possibly even returning by the Texans game a week before Christmas Day. These are all integral pieces, but guys, again, we've talked about the yin and yang in this, which is this team is who it is. We know that there's pieces coming. DJ Humphries was one of those pieces who came in, struggled, is hurt. We don't know the extent of that. So there's still some flux there. The Pacheco had 14 for 55 on Sunday night. The Chargers defense is really good. It doesn't allow a lot on the ground. I'm still waffling on this because what is the ceiling of this offense going to be? Even when the pieces get healthy, it's there with only 2 games to go, or my mind kind of blows right now. Statistically, though, this offense is worse than it was a year ago. It's just, as you said, Noah, not destroying itself from the inside out, which is what took us out of games last year. So still room for improvement, though, and we will just see.
Yeah, I mean, Isaiah Pacheco's starting to get healthy. Like you mentioned, Hollywood Brown could be coming back. DJ Humphries is getting into the swing of things. Hopefully he can come back. Hopefully it's just maybe a 1 week or maybe a no week. Hopefully he can play against the Browns. But if not, hopefully it's just a 1 week thing and not a long-term thing that we can get going. But also on the defensive side, I put this up earlier for the schedule, but we also had Steven Nelson being signed to the practice squad. And I'm sure he'll get his feet wet in practice over the next couple of weeks, and then we'll see him out there. And he had a really good season last year, 4 interceptions for the Texans last year, and then he retired being done with it. But now I think he sees a chance at a ring, and the Chiefs need some help. And a veteran steady presence is what we need at all these positions. We don't need him to come in and be world beaters. We just need DJ Humphries to be steady and solidify that left tackle position. And we need Steven Nelson, hopefully, to come in and be steady and solidify a corner position. And maybe you're seeing maybe Chamari Connor get off the field. He's looking lost. I don't know where his confidence is at. So that's something to keep an eye on. So what do we make of Steven Nelson being added here?
I think
Shane's a big fan.
I think we have to I have to take it with a grain of salt, guys, because we're talking about a guy that was literally retired before the Chiefs went out and got him. This is something that I think we have to.
He's still racist. Hopefully he doesn't. Hopefully he's come around and maybe Kansas City's not racist anymore, and he likes us.
I do
That's
remember
what he
that
said
actually.
when he left.
Yeah.
When he left,
Hey,
he said that Kansas City was racist. So.
Full disclosure, I've actually hung out with Steven Nelson. I'll explain to you guys off air how, but he was actually a really nice dude. Well, okay, I owned a business, and he owned a business, and we got linked together, and we started hanging out, and he was actually a really nice dude. Made some really cool hoodies. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is Steven Nelson is a guy that is clearly not somebody that you can just plug and play and you just expect him to take off, especially at that position. That is a skill position. That is an athletic position. That is not a position you just walk into the league and, hey, I'm back. That's not how this goes. I think that this is a clear act of desperation from the Chiefs, and I think this tells us more than anything what is actually to be done with Jalen Watson. I think this tells us that Jalen Watson's not coming back this season. I think that's pretty clear and evident, even if the struggles continue with the other guys like Chamari, like you mentioned, Noah. He's been struggling a little bit more than I am comfortable with, because I like to believe that Chamari is a developing player and he can be a real stud in this defense. I do think, though, this tells us that they know they're not getting a very pivotal piece back, and so they have to do their best, because the one thing that Tim Grunhard did bring up was the fact they always have somebody in press man. Steven Nelson was actually very good in press man. Where he struggled was zone. That's something Steven Nelson always struggled in. So this is clearly a guy that, when he gets into the mix, is going to be that guy that's going to help with that in droves, kind of back and forth with the other guys. So I just look at him as a jag. I don't see him as a true difference maker. I would love to be proven wrong in that area. But again, a guy that's retired, 31 years old, at cornerback, that's a lot of ask for a guy that just hasn't been playing real football for the last several months and just literally coming off the streets, and the Chiefs needed him more than he actually needs the Chiefs, if we're being honest.
Yeah, and before you go, Shane, or whoever's going to talk next, I just want to be fair on both sides of this. Jedi said, watch Nelson's pod. He said the Chiefs fan started Twitter crap. He just responded. That is true. There was a Chiefs fan going back and forth with him on Twitter, so he did respond. I just hate the blanket statement of Kansas City as a whole. Obviously, there's pockets in any fan base in any part of the world that you can say is like this or is like that. So,
Right.
And so just to be fair to Steven, he was going back and forth with a Chiefs fan that was kind of giving him the business. And so he gave him the business right back. So.
Well, I'm looking at the weather now in Cleveland. It says 70% chance of showers on Sunday, 46 degrees for a high. So we might be dealing with some mucky muck out on the field. Hopefully it won't be a game where we got to sling it a whole bunch. We can just run Kareem Hunt and Pacheco.
17-16 Chiefs. Good night.
We going for predictions now?
We no, probably not yet. But do you really even need to have that segment at this point? Is that necessary?
I want someone to pick a blowout. This is the week it's going to happen. They finally put
No. Lance did that for 7 straight weeks. Although to Lance's defense, Lance knocked it out of the park this week. Think about this. I came on the show last week, guaranteed a Chargers victory, and looked at Lance like he was crazy when he said the Bills are losing to the Los Angeles Rams. Well, guess what? The exact opposite results happened. And now you're looking at where we are now, which is where this whole thing flipped. I think we're going to look back to this past week as where this whole thing flipped for the Chiefs. Even if they're not playing at their best, you're going to look back and think that Rams upset over the Bills and the Chiefs winning with that doink put the Chiefs into this 1 seed, and that's where we're going to look back at it.
Isn't that the funniest part about all the arguments that people are making about other teams and how the Chiefs are getting lucky and all these other things? Guys, the other teams control their destiny just as much. Like, this is what upsets me. It wasn't anyone else's fault the Bills got shelled by the Ravens several weeks ago, 35-10. It was no one else's fault they lost to a 6-6 Rams team this week. Like, those are the things that we have to understand. You can sit here and talk about the Chiefs getting lucky, but unlike the Bills, the Chiefs don't lose games like that. They find ways to beat those teams. They win those games. So I'm over the whole luck. I'm over the whole, we're sick of the Chiefs winning games like this by the skin of their teeth. They're winning, and it's not fun. We hate it. It's horrible for our blood pressure. Our lives are probably shortened because of it, but it's what they're doing. It's better to have these as wins than losses, because, guys, all 4 of us know what that's all about this team giving us heartbreaking losses. I'd rather have heartbroken wins, if that even makes sense, because that's what we're experiencing. It's like it's killing us, but we're getting the dub. And this team is moving forward into the postseason, man, and that's all we've been waiting for. That's what this team's been waiting for. That's why I'm with Clint. It's like, can you just wake me up when January's here? Because I'm just tired of this, man. Like, it's not fun to watch this team, but they continue to win. They're going to lock this 1 seed up within a matter of weeks, and when they do, that's why I intentionally asked Grunny that question, because I wanted to hear your guys' thoughts on that. What does the team do if they beat the Browns and the Texans, and they have the 1 seed locked up with 2 weeks to go?
Fair, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a real thing.
I think they should probably keep playing a little bit, like you said, maybe a half or so, especially if we're trying to get Hollywood Brown back into form and try and get him on the same page with Patrick. You can't do that if he's playing with Carson Wentz.
Right.
So if you're trying to get him back into form and ready for the playoffs, I think Patrick's going to have to play at least a little bit to get comfortable with him in games.
I'm not there yet. Because we got to go to Cleveland and look like we're the champions. In Cleveland, you're not any good. We got to go in there and win by 10 until we go to Cleveland and bounce their ass out by freaking 12 points, 22-10. I don't care how ugly it is. You prove that we're the better team. I don't care what the Lions and Bills, Steelers and Eagles do, because the Chiefs have to prove to me that they're going to go out and punch this freaking team in the mouth. You're the better team. Go do it.
I get that. It's not happening, but I get it.
I would love that, Shane. I would love for the Chiefs to go out there and win 27-6. I would love nothing more than that. I mean, hell, I'm the one guy on the show that keeps predicting it to happen. So trust me, I would love it, brother. But if they come out with like Clint's saying, they win 17-16 on a game-winning field goal, it's still a dub, man. It's 13-1, and they're that much closer to acing up the 1 seed. So although I love a pretty victory, man, I'll take an ugly one if it means they're that much closer to getting that real rest. Because I agree with you, Noah. I think they have to get to that point where they're like, look, we got to start building this chemistry with Hollywood and Patrick. The good thing is it was already kind of built early on. So all they have to do is just kind of get the ground running and get the oil warmed up a little bit. And once that happens, I think what they'll do is not my prediction is right now, and Clay Windler, I'll give him credit for it. He kind of ignited this idea, is that Netflix is going to get just destroyed on this. I think if the Chiefs win the next 2 games, they rest their starters that week against the Steelers, because that's the 3rd game in 10 days, and it's a very tough physical team. Steelers in Pittsburgh. I would love nothing more than to rest Patrick Mahomes against TJ Watt, and then the next week they play like a half against the Broncos, and who cares what happens at that point of that game, because the Chiefs already have the 1 seed locked up. You just kind of keep the guys in motion. They kind of, get ready for a game on the road and just kind of get them in that playoff mode, and then you have the 1 week off and you're ready for the postseason. I think that's the best way of handling it if they take care of business the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, that absolutely makes sense. And we have a question here. It's been asked a couple of times, I think, by John Johnson. So we'll answer this, and then we'll get to the predictions right after this. Would Eric Bieniemy, I almost said Eric Berry, and the answer to that would be no. Would Eric Bieniemy make a difference in the offensive coaching staff?
We know what he is. We know what EB is. He's an igniter, man. He's held people accountable. We talked about it after losing him. He is somebody that I think could be an asset here. Now, has his coaching trajectory gone in the direction that he or many people in the media thought it was going to go? No. And this whole mutually parting ways with UCLA, guys, he was fired from UCLA. I'm just telling you right now. Is there a space here for Eric? Hey, I'm good with it. Is it logistical and where the season is and what we're doing and keeping things symmetrical? I doubt it. Maybe in the future, I don't know, but that's just me. I think Eric's trajectory is the arrow's pointing down now on his coaching career here, unfortunately.
Well, we see
2025 could be Doug Peterson and Eric Bieniemy coming back to this offense, and maybe Nagy gets a job with.
There you go.
That's the point, because we are hearing rumblings that Matt Nagy is going to be getting interviews this offseason with some head coaching vacancies. So there is that chance. Now, let's be real. This is something that Andy Reid does. He brings back his coordinators if they have availability. And Eric Bieniemy, let's give him some credit, man. This offense was very successful under Eric Bieniemy. Yes, there were problems and we saw things, but honestly, I ain't gonna lie to you guys. I like a hard ass. I like a head coach, because we grew up in the Marty era. That raw style head coach. There's not really that guy on this coaching staff right now. I would like a little bit of that back, that toughness back into this. A guy that fires Patrick up a little bit, because we knew they kind of they butted heads a little bit, and Pat Senior's confirmed that. He's a competitive prick. I kind of miss that from Eric Bieniemy. We know this guy knows football. There's a reason why he's been on Andy Reid's staff as long as he was and worked his way up from a running backs coach to the OC. So I would welcome Eric Bieniemy back without question, without hesitation, and I think it's a no-brainer because the dude's a net positive just from just his name. I mean, just knowing who he is, he's a net positive. So yes, without question, you bring him back.
If we're talking about just this season, sure, bring him back for emotional freaking speech. I think he did one last year before the playoffs too. So bring him back in some capacity, sure, next year. We'll talk about that next spring with Clint Schweitzer on our Free Agent Freakout Frenzy show. Ain't that right, Clint?
Thank you so much, Shane, for referencing that, because I am looking forward to it a lot. But yeah, interesting developments here. It's weird how the Chiefs, there's always interesting developments within the roster, within just the Chiefs' purview, which is very much on a micro level around the National Football League. And it's into December, and we're talking about coaching shifts and things like that. That's with the Chiefs, man. When you're in it, you're in it, and the Chiefs certainly are. So we'll see how things shake out here, but a lot of moving parts here for this 12-1 Kansas City Chiefs team, and that's going to be the interesting thing to see how this winds up here with some of these injuries and getting guys back, and acclimated is the key word, I think, as well. So Chiefs Browns in Cleveland on Sunday. The nation awaits. Yeah, you know what? I do like watching Jameis Winston play football. He threw for 400, almost 500 yards against the Broncos a couple weeks ago. Down to earth a bit last week with a loss to Pittsburgh in their rematch. So, guys, the Chiefs win this game 20-14, but the Browns have the ball down 6 with a chance to win it. They just don't do it. Incomplete on 4th down. Chiefs win.
I'll go next because I kind of have a very similar scenario there. Only 26-20. So also a 6-point game there. Browns have the ball there. Incomplete 4th down.
But a pass interference goes uncalled against Trent McDuffie. Yeah.
And I will use the rest of my time that I was going to elaborate on this game to talk about Tim Grunhard's book at timgrunhard.com. We had him on. It was a great guest. We always love having Grunny on. And coming up on the Christmas season, it's a great stocking stuffer here. View from the Center, My Football Life, and the Rebirth of Chiefs Kingdom, all about Tim Grunhard and his time here, bringing Chiefs Kingdom back here to Kansas City, winning football, setting the foundation for where we are today, winning Super Bowls, the greatest era in Chiefs Kingdom. A big part of that had to do with Marty Schottenheimer and Tim Grunhard laying that foundation to where we are today. So make sure you go to timgrunhard.com. I think you can get an autograph copy as well. Tim, you're going to have to do it because I've just said it. If you don't do that anymore, you're going to have to do it because I just said it and I promised the people and the people get what they want. And so Tim Grunhard, View from the Center. Make sure you go to timgrunhard.com and make that a Christmas gift for your loved ones.
Epic book. You're going to want to lock yourself in their bedroom and read it like I did in a 2-day span. I was done. I told my family, leave me alone. I'm reading Tim Grunhard's book. I love it. If you're diehard and you remember watching every single game he played at Arrowhead, sitting in the crowd like me, and you freaking were a big fan of that era that turned this whole entire franchise around, put us into place to where we are today, you're going to love that book. Pick it up.
Chiefs Browns thoughts?
Yeah, Shaggy, what's your prediction?
My prediction is, I know, like Tim Grunhard said, Myles Garrett. It's going to be concerned. But if the weather's going to hold up like it says right now, 75% chance of showers, 46 degrees for a high. It's going to be cold, probably windy. It's going to be yucky. I don't care. You're the better team. You go out and win. Not a nail biter. Not, oh boy, Jameis Winston's having one of them games. Judy's getting off. No. This is a get-right game. Because you haven't been right. You've won 3 squeakers at home against your division. You're barely surviving. This is a get-right game. The Chiefs win 20-10.
I like it, man. I like that a lot. I will say that this is going to be a game where I think Shaggy is going to be a little happy. Not because they're going to blow him out, but I think you're going to see a little bit more of an uptick in the offense when it comes, because I know it's supposed to rain, but we've known the kind of quarterback we have in Kansas City that it almost turns him on a little bit when he gets to play in inclement weather. And he seems to make a little bit of a statement in those games as well. And I think that the Chiefs are going to go on the road because this is something we have to think about. This will be Travis Kelce's final game in Cleveland. And he is from Cleveland. I think Travis Kelce catches 2 touchdowns in this game. I think Patrick throws 3, but 2 of them are going to Travis Kelce in this game to honor Travis Kelce, to let him be sent off in a big game like this. I know that is the ultimate goal. Yeah, it gets the record. I think he gets to do that back home. I think it's going to mean something to him. It's going to mean something to the Chiefs on some. We're going to see some good red zone offense from the Chiefs in this game is what I'm saying. I think the Chiefs score all 3 touchdowns they score in this game in the red zone. We'll see some sound offense, and we'll have a much more positive outlook on this offense come next Tuesday. I think the Chiefs win this game 24-16.
That's it.
I get it.
Thank you, Tim Grunhard. Thank you, Noah and Clint. Tune into Chiefs pregame. Tune into Chiefs pregame Saturday morning with Lance Twidwell of the Spoken and Starcade Media, and tune into Chiefs postgame with Shaggy Shannon and Harvey Williams on Starcade Media immediately after the game. You guys, I kick ass. You guys all kick ass. Happy holidays. Thank you for joining us here in our comments. And until Saturday morning when Lance and Trevor take over, go Chiefs!